I mentioned recently how valuable it can be as an artist to commission yourself, to set yourself creative projects just for the sake of experimentation, to explore different subject matter, to build your portfolio, or to explore avenues that you might want to take your art down in the future. And a lot of you seemed really interested in that, so I thought we would start a new monthly series here where we set our own creative projects, create a finished piece of art, our own personal commissions, starting today with creating an album cover. Now, I've done cover artwork once before for a fantastic single for a fantastic artist, and I will leave a link below for you to listen to the whole thing properly. But it was the perfect collaborative project between us, where I was essentially asked to do my usual thing, do my houses in my typical style, but he had his own concept that he brought forward, and we were able to merge our stylistic and creative ideas. So I'm hoping for as much harmony when it comes to commissioning myself. But in order to make an album cover, we need music. Now, if you want to join in with this, you can choose something like your favourite song, something that you're listening to right now, something that you used to listen to when you were younger, the best album of all time. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to use Epidemic Sound. The music is all royalty free, so I'll be able to lay it over the video so you can get a sense of what I'm working with. I actually love this site anyway. I use it for the music in all my videos, and it's so different to other royalty-free music websites in the sense that I will actually download some of this music to listen to just like for personal use, just to listen to day to day because I like it that much. And this isn't sponsored at all. They don't know I'm talking about them. The link that I use below will be an affiliate link if you do want to visit this website, but you don't have to use it. And as I said, you can just use your own music. But normally when I start out on this website, I will just start on the homepage, see what's new, and so yeah, let's just start there. Okay, is it bad that I like the very first song that I've clicked on? I kind of want to go with it. Is that too easy? I just like the sound of it. It's giving me a vibe. It's giving me like mental images already. Why not? Let's just go for it. Let's use this song. It is called Balcony by Velvet Moon. So for a normal commission, the artist would normally have their own ideas for what they might want the album cover to look like. They might not. They might say go and do your own thing, but there will at least be a kind of, I don't know, a theme or something, some imagery they might want you to include in there. But for this particular case, obviously there is no client. I think in future videos I might be stricter, might set some constraints on the commission itself, but for now I think I'm just gonna give myself free rein to do whatever I want creatively. All right, let's get brainstorming then, I guess. Right, so let's start making some notes. I know that I want it to be 12 by 12 inches, just so that if the singer wants it on vinyl, it'll be big enough for that kind of format. You can do whatever size you want as long as it's square, although I am now thinking, should we do a back cover as well? We'll come back to that, but for now, 12 by 12 inches. And then in terms of what it's going to look like, I think I'm just going to listen to the song through a few times and get a feel for it and see if anything springs to mind. Right, so having listened to the song a few times, I do have a few ideas that have come to mind. I'm getting summer, sunshine, desert, maybe more like a California desert, road trip, like hand out the window, open road, a sense of kind of isolation. Light leaks for some reason were coming to mind, like a kind of kaleidoscopic feel to it. And then I listened to the song one more time, really paying attention to the lyrics, and I got a lot of a lonely atmosphere from it. A lot of the lyrics are about loneliness and isolation. So the stuff I kind of thought of to start with still stands, the desert, the road trip, But I'm thinking more now like a motel, like an empty motel room that's maybe a bit of a mess, and maybe a view of a balcony in there. So I'm going to look for a few more references that might help just to solidify that idea. And a mood board like this would help if this was an actual commission. It would help to share with the client what I have in mind, rather than me just saying I have a motel vibe, having images to back that up, although I would set it out a bit differently if I was showing this to someone else, but having it all laid out like this makes sense to me. Now, the only other thing I think I'll do is maybe look at some album cover examples just to see if there's anything I hadn't thought of compositionally, just see if it sparks any more ideas. Also, now that I think about it, another image has sprung to mind of a painting by Lois van Baal. I like the colours in it. It's a view of a window like at sunset, so I'm going to see if I can find that. Yes, this one here. This has some of the atmosphere that I'm looking for, so let's add that. It may be that I tried to have a similar colour scheme, or it's more so the composition of this one that I like. Okay, back to album artwork. Let's just have a quick scroll through. Recognise this one straight away. This is Sean, our Fairy Little Peach. She did this a while ago. I remember seeing it on Instagram, and she's done album artwork before, another one other than this. Great work. Yeah, she's got a real eye for this kind of thing. Great to see her work coming up here as well. Okay, I think I'm about ready to maybe sketch out my first initial ideas just as a rough thumbnail. Looking at album artwork didn't necessarily give me anything, maybe kind of how the text will be in relation to the artwork, although I might just add that in digitally afterwards rather than adding it to the actual painting. It did help though to spark that memory of that artwork by Lois van Baal. That really helped. I think that's a good place to start. So I know it looks like a mess, but this really makes sense to me visually. I can really see it, and it's great when you get an idea instantly and you can just run with it. But I do think it's important to explore other avenues just to see if there's anything that I'm missing. I really want to take this idea and run with it, but I'm just going to take some time to see if there's anything else in there. And you know what? I am going to separate myself from this very solid idea by removing myself from this environment. I'm going to go for a walk. I have a library book that I need to return, so I'm going to pop out, and when I get back we'll see if I've got any new ideas. Right, so I'm back with 2 new books and 2 new ideas actually. It really was a struggle to draw up something new, but I'm sticking with the hotel theme, and I thought of doing something kind of similar to something I've done before, like an outdoor view of the hotel, looking at it in a sort of angular way with the balcony coming off it somehow, or a few different balconies maybe, just playing on the angles there of the architecture. And then otherwise I was thinking still again going with the hotel theme, something more like a different view of the hotel room, like maybe a close-up of looking down on the record player. She talks about listening to records on repeat in the song, I think, so kind of looking down. It's a weird perspective that I can't really get across in the initial sketch, but I think maybe have the sliding door here out to the balcony, just a smaller view of it, and you can just see some of the mess on the floor, just showing this kind of scene of neglect in the room, I suppose. So those are the ideas that I've had so far. I still very much like this one the most, and I think for the sake of time I am just going to stick with the original idea. Maybe this one could come into play if we do decide to do the back cover, although I do think for the back cover it would be cool to do like the opposite view of the room, so the rest of the bed here and like the door in, maybe like a sad looking lonely chair, and that's if I even do the back cover. So the next thing I'm going to do, I think I have enough references around to get started on just refining the initial thumbnail sketch, and then I guess we'll just take it from there. It needs some work, for sure. If this were a project for a real client, I would be spending much more than one day on the finished piece, just getting in that detail and really refining it. I learned along the way that I really need to work on my drapery, so getting realistic creases and lighting in those curtains, so I would probably spend a good few days just doing studies in my sketchbook of curtains until I had a better grasp on how to get the look I wanted. Also, since I'm in a bit of limbo with my art style at the moment, I think that resulted in a kind of formlessness here, but I suppose I could just say that that's the style I was going for. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could go in and add the details, but I know in the future I will try and have a better idea of the finished style that I'll be trying to convey. Even if it isn't necessarily my style, I think some guidance there would help shape the decisions that I'm making while I'm painting, and in the end I'll get a piece that has a bit more to say. It almost reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob, I think it's called Normal, where he loses all his texture and is completely smooth. I think I've used that as a comparison for something before on this channel. Honestly, anything in life can be linked back to SpongeBob if you try hard enough. But overall, I love the atmosphere here, the colours. It's actually pretty close to the scene that I envisioned in my head while I was listening to the lyrics. And this was such a valuable practice in painting a scene and creating something not entirely from reference. If I had time, if this were an actual client, I would chalk this round down to a practice. As I said, I know what I need to work on now, getting more detail in there and learning more about how fabric falls. But since I am the client, I am going to give myself a pat on the back and move on. That said, I will be working on the things that I need more practice with in my own time, so I'll be better equipped for the next project. And that's what these practice commissions are great for. You put yourself in creative situations that you might not ordinarily work with, so you become aware of strengths that you didn't know you had or weaknesses that you need to work on, and then when it comes time to work with an actual client, you are that much more experienced and confident in the work that you're going to put forward. So I would love for you guys to give something like this a go, spend some time working on your own album covers, whether it's for like your favourite song, favourite album, or something that you just make up completely. And if you could share it with me on Instagram, that would be great. I'll make up a hashtag and I'll put it on screen and down in the description so that you can share it with me, and I'll share some of my favourites in the next commission video. For next time, I'm thinking I have a big personal commission that I'm going to be working on next month, so I would love to share the process of that with you guys. And then after that, I think it would be cool to open up what we do in these episodes to a poll. Maybe every time we'll open it up and see all the different kind of projects that you guys would love to work on together. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. For now, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for joining me. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye.